Good morning to everyone in Western Australia, and thank you so much for joining us on the latest edition of our Leading Ladies Journeys webinar. Coming to you from the Sydney headquarters, my name is Bernadette Coutis, and I'm one of the property management BDEs here in New South Wales. And I am beyond thrilled to be joined by the one and only beautiful Bianca Azzopardi. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you for saying yes. Guys, we're going to talk about lots of stuff today. We're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about property management. We're going to talk about everything in between. But Bianca, for those people who don't know and have never met you before, do you want to just give everyone a rundown of what your role is and where you do that at, just so everyone knows who you are?
Awesome. So I'm the head of property management for Ray White Wallara Paddington. Currently looking after a team of 10 property managers, which includes my 2 leasing consultants, my amazing trust accountant, Julie. And I run the day-to-day operations of the property management business. I have a very small portfolio of clients who refuse to leave me, which is wonderful. And I do a little bit of business development and training and mentoring the staff as well.
Oh, I love that. So Bianca, we're going to get into a lot of stuff around current day and all that you do. But if it's okay, we're actually going to take a little step back. I'm going to wind the clock back. I want to talk to you about high school Bianca.
Okay.
I want to chat about 16-year-old you in school. Tell me, what were you wanting to do? So we're in high school. We're going to leave high school. What were Bianca's dreams and inspirations? Like, what were you wanting to be at that point?
Bianca didn't know what she wanted to be at 16, to be completely honest. She was intelligent, but didn't like authority. So she left school at about 16. But 10, 12-year-old Bianca either wanted to be a pastry chef or a marine biologist. Ironically enough, I get seasick and I was afraid I'd be morbidly obese if I became a pastry chef. So I don't know how I ended up in real estate, but I don't have to get on a boat. We're okay.
We're good. Good. So obviously we want to try and join the dots here from being a pastry chef to being a head of department at one of our biggest businesses. So we've got a few dots that we're going to join here for everyone.
Just a couple.
So Bianca, 15 years in real estate now,
yep.
8 years with our Ray White group.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about how you got into real estate, because that is a big jump from being a pastry chef or a marine biologist into the wicked wild world of property management. Tell me what that has looked like for you.
So I was in the hospitality industry from the second I turned 18 until my early 20s. And as much as I loved it, the late nights, the drunk patrons and those sorts of things, that takes a toll. And to be completely honest, I thought I could sell ice to Eskimos. So I just thought I would be the best sales agent on the face of the planet. I didn't think that was such a thing as property management at that time. Back then the ads were in the papers still. And, looking back, thinking now, how naive was I to think that there wasn't a role like this? So I went to TAFE, studied, third in my class, which was a wonderful achievement, and was lucky enough to actually be offered a position straight out. My head of teaching at TAFE put me in touch with somebody who was looking for a receptionist. Started at reception, worked my way up, still in contact with those business owners today.
Oh, I love that.
And just lovely people, learnt from scratch. It was a really, really good experience.
Oh, I love that. So how did it come to you to work at Ray White Wallara? How did that opportunity sort of come on to you over your years with us? Were you looking for a head of department role? Did you start as a head of department at Wallara?
I didn't start as a head of department. I started as a BDM. I was headhunted relentlessly by the previous head of property management, who's a lovely friend of mine and can say that out loud. She did call me relentlessly. That's what I'm talking about. And gave me the opportunity to come over and look at the new business side of things, which is it's something I really, really love. So I was doing new business and leasing. And then there were some changes and some shifts, and Michelle's obviously moved back into corporate, and I got the opportunity to take over and lead the business and the team, which is really exciting and a wonderful opportunity.
Oh, I love that. For anyone that doesn't know Ray White Wallara, obviously here in New South Wales, undeniably one of our best businesses. I think Randall and Clay have employed a team of phenomenal women and men. And I think you guys have created a really high performance culture. Talk to me about what it means. The women in your business, you know, it's filled with smart, they're strong, they're successful women. Talk to us about what that feels like for you being part of that. What does that culture feel like for you every day?
Yeah, it's like, I think, testament to Ella here, who works so hard on our culture every single day. She's created a girl gang because we are potentially a male-dominated industry, and she's really worked hard to bring us all together and to celebrate the wins and the losses, and because you are going to have both. But it's an amazing feeling walking in and having powerful, strong women who stand behind you and support you and would happily recommend you to any one of their clients. And that goes for my property management team and our sales team. The girls with Danica Jess, Kate Smith, Lisa Chad, all doing really amazing things. And it's really awesome to see. But even the admin girls, they do such a phenomenal job for us. And it's just great that everyone really supports one another. Yeah,
I love that. Tell everyone, I'm sure that the team are doing something in honour of you today. What are the Wallara team up to? It's got to be something fabulous. I know it is.
I hope that they're sitting on the couches in our upstairs room, probably watching me on a TV screen. Potentially popcorn has been provided. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely there'd be a lunch or something on, which is really lovely.
I love. So tell me, if sort of, when you started to get into the leadership role, you went into that head of department, which is effectively it's a leadership role. Over your years in the industry, has there been anyone along the way that sort of really inspired you to want to be a leader? Was there anyone where you were like, I can do this, I can be a leader, I can lead this team? Has there been that person for you along the way?
I don't think that there's been a person that I've looked up to and just thought, I can do that, or I can do it better, or I could do it differently. I think it comes from a number of people supporting and watching you nurture and grow, because it's a big space to take on. There's a lot of staff, there's a lot of personalities, and it has its challenges and it has its rewards as well. So, fake it till you make it is one quote I will probably say. But you know what? If Donald Trump applied for that job and he got it, you can too.
I love it. To anyone that doesn't know, Ray White Wallara and the property management team recently awarded number 3 internationally for a Growth Property Management Award at our awards night the other week. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me, massive growth within your business over the last 12 months. Talk to us around that growth. How has that come to fruition? To be number 3 internationally, a mammoth achievement.
Yep.
How did that all come to be?
So we had an acquisition at the start of this year, which definitely helped us along. And maintaining and having that wonderful team that joined our family and is now so Ray White family, which is so wonderful and beautiful to see. But there was an acquisition, there was a lot of hard work and dedication, and really stopping loss management, understanding what the barriers were and really working hard on stopping the blockage. I
love that. When you guys won it, you and I have spoken a lot about recognition, something that you and I talk about a fair bit. I'm going to ask this to you in 2 parts. Tell me, when we get that level of recognition, what does that mean for you, Bianca, as head of department? And what does it mean to your huge team that are there every day to be recognised to that level?
So I'll answer this in 2 parts. So firstly, I wasn't at the corporate awards this year, but Ella was, and Ella sent me a text message and she's like, got some exciting news, we'll let you know. And I was at home going, oh, well, what's going on? Like, and she kept me waiting for what seemed like 45 minutes. It was probably 3. And she texted me and let me know that we'd come third internationally. I was like, oh my God, this is massive, huge, congratulations. I can't believe it. But I had to wait till the next day to tell the property management team. And I've already like halfway through a text to tell everybody that we've like, oh my God, guys, congratulations, we're number 3 internationally. And Ella's like, no, wait, Randall's going to make an announcement, which was really, really lovely that, you know, we get that support from the boys as well. And there's just that, we just encompass that like that way. It's really lovely.
Oh,
huge achievement for us. Huge achievement as a leader. And the team's excited. They're psyched up about it, which is really lovely.
it's amazing because I think, you know, it was a lot of work that you guys put into that acquisition.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about property management and when we talk about rapid growth in the world of PM and acquisitions, sometimes there can be some failings, I will call them. I like to call them flailings because, you know, like we learn when we fail. Talk to me, what did we learn through that? Because I'm sure we had some moments of what are we doing?
Yeah, we probably had a number of moments of like, do we get wine while we're here and try to figure this out? So I think some of the things that I think I learned was having a really clear definition of what legislation, what compliance meant to us, because what compliance meant to us and the people that we were purchasing off were 2 completely different things. So having a really clear understanding of what that was, it was really, really helpful. You know, a big thing obviously for us as well was bringing the right staff over, the staff that were going to, you know, come into our Ray White little family over in Wallara and, you know, be happy to be there and you know, still love what they do and, you know, make these big changes in their life, in their, you know, day to day. So that was a really big thing for us. Software. Oh my God, software. Ask the hard questions about software. When somebody says it's going to take 24 hours, that means 5 days. It means 5 business days, and that's no lie. And not having a software program to be able to send a work order or something along those lines is just, it's infuriating. And you've got 8 new people that are there and kind of like all looking at you for an answer, and you're like, oh, okay, well, we'll just text and we'll email and we'll file it and make a note and it'll all be fine. So, and that's what we did. You really just got to think on the fly, how we're going to get through it, but yeah, software.
Love. So hard times in property management, you know, there are a lot of joyous moments in the world of property management. There are some amazing things like that. We also, as a leader, you know, you get your days, they're a bit tough. And some days, especially when you're sort of growing at the rate which Wallara grew, how do you work through those moments? What do you do when you're like, oh, okay, I just need to breathe here?
Yeah.
What does Bianca do in those moments where it's just sort of like, I just need a break?
So first thing that I do, and I really love, is I do practice a little bit of mindfulness when I can. Now, mindfulness is not a yoga girl sitting on a rock looking at the ocean. That's what I thought it was initially. Okay, that's what I thought. It definitely isn't. So, because I'm definitely don't have any yoga pants in my office desk. So I walk mindfully around my block, which means I just feel the soles of my feet, and I'm not allowed to really think about anything else but the soles of my feet as I'm walking around the office. And around the office, I mean, I've gone downstairs and outside and around the block effectively. And it just gives me a second just to clear the mind and come back and you're just like, oh, okay. Cool. Yep. And we can continue forward. So I think another important thing to remember is that we are human beings and not robots. So as much as we would love the response to be generic or come across in a different way, we don't know what's on the other side. We don't know what that other person's experiencing and what vulnerabilities that they have in their life currently. And we need to take that into consideration when we're making decisions and we're talking about things.
Yeah, love it. How do you lean on the girls at work? Like you girls, you know, as you say, you've got a girl gang, a phenomenal gang of women there. Do you guys sort of lean on each other when one's having a bit of a down day? What do you guys do as a team when someone's a bit like, whoa?
Yeah, there's definitely that camaraderie and that we are, you know, all together and we do support each other, which is really lovely. Ella talks to me in like a very calming tone. She's like, just take a breath, Bianca. Everything's going to be fine. You've just thought too many steps ahead, which is true. I go into that negative space. But yeah, just to be able to lean on, and it's all of them. And, you know, even, you know, Randall, Clay, when we need to. It's really, really great environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sort of supporting one another, because we're all going to have, up days at certain times. We're all going to have down days at certain times. And especially when you bring a new team in to the business, it has its challenges that go
with it.
Right,
Definitely.
along the way. And I think what you guys have always done exceptionally well is to all stick together.
Yeah, we definitely do try. Change management is really hard. It is, you've got to have buy-in first before we're getting people over there. We've got to make them feel comfortable. It's such a procedure. And, remarkably, we've done it so well this time, and we've been really lucky. And again, that's Ella, that's Cherry, that's Danny, that's Lara, that have made sure the email accounts are set up before they get there, the business cards, all of those little things are all done. So it's just like, oh, I don't have to do that, or I don't have to think that they've thought of everything for me. And I think it makes it a seamless transition. It makes it a little bit more welcoming, because they effectively don't have to really think about much. It's like, oh, I've got to sign a few forms and fill this out, and we're done. It's good.
I think when we onboard people, right, like that onboarding, our first experience into a business when you're a new team member, I think is sort of something that is just pivotal to how we're going to feel within that business. And you guys do that extremely well.
I think, again, it comes back to understanding that person's in such a vulnerable position when they're coming in, and you're like a deer in the headlights. Like, I remember my first day at Willara of Paddington, and like everyone, again, super lovely, really friendly and really inviting. And it's like, you don't take in the information. You're like, oh, where was the toilet again? And where do I get food from? And so like, it's an overwhelming experience. And so, I think we break it up in stages really well. So Ella will sit with them for a while. Then we'll have Lara, our knowledge manager, sit with them for a little while. Yes, our manager of knowledge, sit with them for a little while. And then they'll come downstairs and we'll go through their property management softwares and, do you have questions about this? But we kind of like, I make sure I really shadow my property managers for as long as I can, or go to appointments with them. Like, my biggest thing is I'll never make you do something that I wouldn't do. Had COVID breakout a couple of weeks ago. I was out on a Saturday doing opens. Like, it's just, we all work together as a team, and we are all so valuable to the business, and we need to continue to make sure that we're moving forward. Yeah,
I love that. When we get these wins, what do you guys do to celebrate as a team? How do you guys do team building days, dinners? Like, what do you do for that culture?
For that culture, so Friday lunches, we've been sitting together in the office downstairs. We've got nice little space at the back of our office, and sort of all just sitting and having like a lunch on a Friday, and just taking that hour out for ourselves that we don't do any other day of the week. And just sitting and talking and getting to know one another. My team's fiercely competitive. So yes, Courtney would like to go to laser tag next, which is wonderful, because poor Dion's done his knee. So maybe he can just referee for us, which is fine. But yeah, fiercely competitive, which is really lovely and good to see. But there's so much camaraderie and so much love and support for one another. And it's really lovely to see and watch how they love and support one another. And there's none of this like, oh, I have to help you. It's like, oh yeah, cool, what do you need? And that's because it's reciprocated and given back. And I think that's what's so important, is that they feel loved and supported, and that comes from Ella, Randall, Clay, and myself, and and that we've got a team that's willing to help, and open plan office. And I wanted that so everyone could kind of spin around and have conversations with one another, and really be able to nut out the difficult issues with, oh, hey, have you had this problem before? What would you do in this circumstance? So that was a really big thing for us.
I love that. That open plan of property management, the design, was that something you thought through? Because it is a very open space. You guys all sit in together.
Yeah, it was definitely something that Ella and I looked at doing, because the space was quite challenging as well, of course, because we've got the back area that's there with our big seats. So it was a challenging space to kind of work out, but having it open plan just so that everyone could just turn around and have that conversation, that was really important.
Yeah, I love that. You spoke about competition before. If I can, we're going to talk about that, if that's all right.
Sure.
So I'm sure most people are aware at Ray White, we've now trademarked that we are the competition creators.
Yes.
We've actually recently trademarked that, which is super exciting. And you said about competition a few times. I think it's a little bit of a fallacy that people don't think property managers are competitive. I think there's this thing that salespeople are super competitive, which they are. But I really do think we give PMs, really give them a run for their money. How do you use competition to drive performance? Like, how do you do that within your office?
So I think it comes down to that, like having their KPIs and really setting a clear picture from the onset. I paint the picture. This is what I want it to look like. Is this achievable? Can we do it? What support do you need from me? And what does that look like for me? So having KPIs set out for each one of my, and they're nothing out of control or crazy. They're quite standard and things that I used to work to. So, you know, making sure that we've got those. With my leasing team, with Courtney and Heidi, they're competitive themselves, like between one another. They've laminated their names so that they know whose property is on what, and which is really cute and really lovely. But they are competitive, and you know, they just want to grow and they want to see where their career is going to take them, which is really exciting. And I think for the team, it creates competition, but it also gives them a bit of discipline and lines to work within, and know, you know, what targets need to be hit. Am I, you know, can I get this done? Am I stretching myself too far? Is this too much for me to do and not be able to perform and give the service that's required of my landlord? So it effectively sets boundaries as well, which I think is really important.
Love that. How do you know? So, you know, you manage a big team, you know, everyone's got their own little quirks and their own little nuances and personalities. How do you go about knowing, like, how am I going to get the best out of this person, and how am I, as a leader, going to get the best out of this person? Do you just sort of really do an individual approach to things? Do we have a blanket approach? How do you do that in a big team?
In a big team, I sit in the same space as my team, which I think is really important, because you're hearing conversations and you can watch, you can see where they're kind of, I'm not going to say struggle is the wrong word. Like my team are full, that they're all yes people. And sometimes they say yes and they haven't thought it. I do the exact same thing. Don't ask me to do this, didn't even think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, whatever you need, it's fine. And so we don't think about what that actually looks like. And so, you know, I pulled a team member aside the other day and I'm like, you're amazing and you want to help everybody, but you don't, like, you say yes before you understand what the task is. I said, so you need to go a step back and say, I'm very happy to help you, but I need you to show me how to execute this task in a way that is going to be beneficial to you. Because if we set the expectation, it's like, oh, well, here you go off, you know, good luck. And we've given somebody no guidance on how to do that, like, they're going to be deflated when you come back and it's wrong, or, you know, upset. And then that, you know, you wonder why we all run away and leave this industry, because, you know, we haven't done something, or we didn't check the water meter, or what was the smoke alarm there? Oh, I don't know. So, you know, there's a lot of legislation and things that we need to do and need to look at. And we do need to hold people's hands when they're starting out in this industry. So it's a really big thing.
Love that. I think you really set the tone for the team. You know, as Bianca said, when I asked her to be a part of this today, she'll tell you that the email that I sent to her, the title just said, just say yes. That literally was what I asked her. And I think that's so important, you know, when you've got someone like you, that these people, you know, you're brave, like, you know, you take these leaps into the unknown. You know, you didn't know much about today. You were like, yep, sure. And I think that is such an amazing thing when you have a leader like that. Is that something you consciously think about? Like, is that something that's just been built into you to just be brave, take the leap? Or is that something you've learned as you sort of gotten a bit older?
So it's probably something that I've always done, but it's only now that I've learned that there's actually fear there first. But it's such a millisecond that I've already jumped off the ledge and not sure if the parachute's going to go. So, which can be a good thing, but like learning that vulnerability is bravery has been a really huge thing for me. If you haven't seen Brene Brown's TED Talk on it, please go and watch it. It's really amazing. And I really love that in order to be brave, we have to be vulnerable and we have to take risks, and we have to get out of our comfort zones. And that's the only way we're going to learn and progress.
Yeah, love that. You, I know you are a massive fan of Brene Brown. In our conversations leading into this today, you know, you talk about vulnerability a lot. And I think that is sometimes something that doesn't come easy to all of us. And it is something that, you know, we all work on and we want to be better at that. How do you, like, are there moments where you go, I just got to be more vulnerable here? Like, are there moments where you go, okay, like, I'm just going to jump. I'm not going to think too much about it.
Really situational. It really depends. Like, don't just jump into a heated conversation with an owner, because I don't know how that's going to end for anybody, right? I can't give you advice on that. I think it really depends moment to moment. You know, I think you've got to weigh the risk versus reward. That's a big thing. And you know, and I'm a control freak, and I like to know what the potential outcome is and the variables. And I've got an ideal week and an ideal month and all of those sorts of things. So jumping into vulnerability is definitely a new thing, and I probably didn't even know the word probably 18 months ago. I wouldn't use it in the way that I use it now. So that's definitely something different. But you know, it's taking yourself out of the picture and thinking, what is that person on the other side feeling? What are they potentially going through to make them speak like this or act like this or be irate or whatever it is that's going on with them? And just being able to see and be like, oh, maybe this has happened, or maybe that's happened, or maybe this has happened. And suddenly then you've got compassion as well. And I think both of those skills together really lead to having better quality conversations, more in-depth conversations, and you get a better result at the end of the day.
It's funny, isn't it? Because when sometimes we talk about property management, you know, there's sometimes the people who are like, I can't be vulnerable, I can't show emotion, I can't have a relationship.
Vulnerability is weakness.
Yeah.
It's not true. Yeah, no, very, very much that vulnerability is weakness. And you know what? It truly isn't. Yeah. It truly isn't. In order to be human, you need to be vulnerable. And there are going to be situations when you are vulnerable. And I think if you don't understand what that feeling is, that's when you self-doubt and you have that really negative dialogue in your head, like, oh, I could have done that better. I should have responded to that email. And you sit in bed at night and you think, and like there's been times I've gotten up in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, I forgot about that email. Oh my God. And I've got a piece of paper and pen next to my bed just in case. So I write it down. I'm like, oh, you can go back to sleep now. Do you know? Yeah. So, you know, you get that.
Any property manager on the line, guys, we know the 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Like we've all been there. You are and your team are very big believers in training.
Yes.
You know, you guys are at training every month, whether it's sales, PM, no matter what it is. Is that a conscious thing you do? Like, you know, your guys are at everything. Is that because you've got that thirst for wanting to be better, that you want your team to be like that?
Yeah, I think we all have that thirst, that there's something that we're going to pick up from one of these training sessions. It is one of their KPIs, I will say that out loud, to come to a training session at least once a month, or watch something online, or just participate in something extra. But what I love is when the team skips back in, and Courtney does this, Courtney will skip back in and be like, so Bern has just said that maybe we should implement this, or maybe we could do something this way. And it's so lovely to watch their brains think about how they could implement something, or we could do this better, or changing a process, because this is what the legislation's doing. And so we're up to date and we're current, and you know, you guys empower them, and it's really lovely. And it's additional and external support, which for our new team was something that they didn't have before. So it's really lovely.
It's you know, at Ray White, we're built on a foundation of curiosity. You know, we have something called a Curiosity Day. Are you naturally a curious person, or in the role have you sort of just learnt to be more curious, to ask more questions?
The more questions you ask, the more clarity that you're going to get. And you're also going to get, you know, clarity, understanding, and understand where that person's coming from. So I think that is important. I don't know. I think there's also a little bit of common sense within the role. You know, the leak's coming from the roof. Okay, well, if we go outside, is the gutter there? Oh no, look, it's broken. You know, so yes, you do need to be a little bit curious and walk, you know, and eyes wide open. Maybe that's the right term as well. So yeah, no, we're curious.
Oh, I love that. Accountability. You know, we don't really work well without it.
No.
Property managers, especially, as much as sometimes they want to kick against it, and, you know, we all do.
Yeah.
Once they get used to it, they start to thrive in that environment. I'm going to ask this one, two things. Number one, what does accountability look like for you? And what does accountability look like for your team?
Good, difficult question. So I think accountability for me looks like standing up and raising your hand and knowing when you've made a mistake. And if that means calling an owner and saying, hey, Bern, I'm sorry, I've made a mistake here. it's owning it, but not just owning it, it's providing a solution too. Because it's one thing for me to call you and go, oh, hi, I'm really sorry, and just let the line go dead. But I'm sorry, this is what's happened, but this is what I'm proposing to fix it with. What are your thoughts on that? So I think that that's really important, standing up and being accountable. And I think my team see that I'm prepared to stand up and be accountable. So in turn, they're happy to be accountable and, oh, oh no, I've made that mistake, or I locked those keys in that house, or I've lost this. And you know what? It's all a learning. It's all something that we learn from. We've had a reasonably big issue this week, and that, a procedure's changed from it, and it's about, standing up, taking accountability. We've made an error here. We're really sorry. This is what we plan to do to fix it. Are you happy with that? So big things there.
Yeah, that's great. We do sometimes, as you say, we make mistakes, when you're in the world of property management or anything for that matter. There is a million different things that we're doing. We're bound every now and again, we drop a ball. When you sort of start to struggle in those days and, sometimes we're just like, oh, okay, like, I always think people have got a toolkit, and we reach into the toolkit for different things to help us and to help our headspace and to help our mental health. What's in Bianca's toolkit when she needs a little bit of I can do this?
I have my hour of power with my therapist once a month.
Love that.
She'll say I talk to her. I think I scream, cry at her. But what I love about doing that, it is somebody that is not associated with real estate, except now she has incredible insight, because whenever something's wrong, she's like, oh, Bianca, do you think that's right? Which is really lovely. But I get a third-party opinion, and I also get suggestions on maybe you should have handled the situation this way, or maybe it was taken from this way. So you're getting knowledge from that base as well, which is really lovely. So I think mental health is really important. It is something that is I don't think it's talked about enough, to be completely honest, in our workplaces, and how important it is. And people shouldn't be scared to reach out or ask for help. It's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about. And look, it helps me. It helps me stay on a even playing field.
It's a good toolkit. It's a good toolkit. You are, for anyone that doesn't know, a licensed livability agent.
I am.
Yeah. Now, for anyone that is not sure what that is, can you let everyone know what it means to be a licensed livability agent?
So this is a program brought out by the CSIRO. It was brought out a few years ago, and effectively what it means is I can identify 17 additional features which, if used correctly, can reduce your cost of living but increase your comfort.
Love that. So what's the benefit for you in property management? Obviously, you jumped into this space very early on. What benefits does that, for you and your team now at Ray White Wallara, what sort of positioning does that put you in the market now, do you think?
So when I first did the course, it was a BDE sort of point, a point of difference in my marketplace, because we're all going in, we've all got the same, here's my fee sheet and here's this and whatever else. And suddenly when you're pointing out a parapet and you're oh, look, the cross flow ventilation possibilities you have here, and just identifying things that the homeowners spent money on. They've spent money on this, and no other agents notice those things. So you're immediately establishing yourself as a point of difference, and that you know what you're doing. You've got knowledge, you've got product knowledge, you know about my house, so you're automatically creating trust. So that was a really good thing when I was working on my BD, and I still use some of those tools now when I'm going out and pitching for business. What it means for the team, and I guess where we're going is, we need to be prepared for this legislation. It is coming, whether we like it or not. We don't like legislative changes, but they're going to continue to come. And I think that it's up to us property managers to educate the marketplace, and the marketplace is our owners, because let's be realistic, the tenants and the next generations of tenants that are going to come through, this is their minimum expectation. They've been taught about it at school, they've been taught about it at high school, they all want net zero energy homes and the cars that charge, or the ability to be able to charge. This is what they want. So we need to be able to provide that product, and in order to do that, we need to educate our owners. We have time. This isn't going to happen tomorrow. We've been told it's potentially 13 years away, which is exciting. But now's the time that the government's bringing out all of these amazing initiatives. Get on top of them. Get to know what they're about, and see how you can improve your landlords, and reduce somebody's cost of living. And suddenly potentially you can increase a tenant's rent because their electricity bill's gone down by 20%. Owners would love a 10% increase even.
At the moment, absolutely.
Definitely.
One of the things I used to love about being a property manager, it's very strange, I used to love the fact that I used to be in people's homes, and the first thing I would always look at, and I probably still do to all of my friends, I'm sorry, I look at people's bookshelves, because I think what is on someone's bookshelf tends to tell me a lot about someone. Bianca, as a party, if I walked in your home, what's on your bookshelf?
Well, there are a number of things on my bookshelves, not just including books. There's a couple of pairs of shoes, there's a beach towel and a hat, just in case I want to grab and go. But mainly books, and it's books on psychology, self-help, the occasional psychopath. And yeah, that's what's on my bookshelf at the moment.
It's probably why you got into real estate,
right? Possibly, yeah. Yeah.
What do you wish more people knew about property management? You know, it's an odd thing being in property management. People are like, oh, you know, people who don't know what we do. It's like, oh, do you collect rent? Do you do routines? If we could let people know, what do you want people to know? What do you wish more people knew?
Okay, first thing I wish more people knew, we are not Lux listings or selling sunset. Okay. There's no one in my office is walking around with paper. Like, that's not happening. So that's really one thing that we want to get clear. It's hard work, but it is rewarding work. You know, I like to think that I'm a problem solver. So my job gives me satisfaction at the end of the day that I've solved a number of people's problems, whether that's internally or externally or something along those lines. You've got to have thick skin and a bit of grit to get through it. But there's more than one job in property management. You can be a leasing consultant. Maybe you like sales and want to get there one day, but you know, you want to do a bit of BDE stuff. Maybe you just want to be administration. There's so many internal jobs or other aspects of property management that you don't have to just be doing the routine inspections and the ingoings and the outgoings. Like, there's so many different aspects and fields. So jump in, give it a go, find out if you like it.
Absolutely, couldn't have said it better. How do you balance work and home? Your job, you know, it's a big job. There's a lot of things going on. It's a big team. How do you balance that between work and home? Like, what does that look like for you?
I think I'm single and don't have any children. I do have a Pomeranian, but he lives with my dad now. So, I don't have anything. What does work and home life look for me? It's tricky. Sometimes it can be hard to cut off or switch off. And I do sit on my laptop late at night, and I'll apologize to the staff before I leave. I'm like, you're probably going to get 5 emails from me. Just ignore them. You can do them tomorrow. They're not important. But just trying to create a little bit of a balance and having a little bit of a step away from it is definitely something that's important. Enjoying time on the weekends with family, going to the beach. My cleaner that comes once a week, she just saves 2 hours of my life. And it's just that one little thing that I don't have to think about because I know it gets done. And it's my one little luxury that I have. And it just makes me joyfully happy.
She's in your toolkit.
She's in my toolkit.
She's in your toolkit.
Yep.
So, you know, obviously, you know, number 3 internationally now for growth. What do we want to do this year? What's the goals? What's current day Bianca? What is she wanting to do for her and the team this year?
Look, we've set out our goals and set out our KPIs, and we've made sure that everybody is on the same page with where we are, which is very, very important. So again, you know, it's the same KPIs that I would say most of you have in your offices. You know, we have a growth goal, which is not as ambitious as probably I would like, but obviously we need to settle where we're at. We need to make sure we've got our retention and that, you know, our owners that we have currently are really happy. I think a lot of our growth is going to come from internal sources this year because, you know, we've been able to increase the staff load and, you know, really make sure that, you know, they can offer that level of service that's required now from, you know, up like after COVID, and really keep that up. So, you know, it's minimizing our days on market. It's, you know, making sure we've got some, you know, good new quality stock that's coming on, increasing our management fees. And, you know, we're only going to be able to do that by, you know, providing value and showing value for money.
Yeah, that's cool. And number 1, right?
And number 1, yeah, that's
number 1.
Yeah, that's my goal.
We are the competition creators. Number 1.
Exactly.
What advice would you give to women wanting to join real estate? If there was something that for women that are like, oh, I don't know, is real estate for me? Is real estate not for me?
You know, don't be intimidated by the men. You know, I look at the women in my office and I look at Danica Jess, I look at Kate Smith, I look at Ella, and I like those girls really, they they don't have to put up a fight because they know what they're doing and they're confident about it, and they know that they can go up against the boys and that they're going to win, and they provide a different level of service. And you know what, every time that they go in there, whether they win or lose, they know that they've learned something from that, and it's wonderful and empowering to watch.
Yeah, I love it. Do you guys have team meet? Like, what's the meetings look like in the office? Do you have just PM? Do we have meetings where all of you are in together?
Yep. So sales will have a meeting on Tuesdays. Property management has a meeting on Mondays. And then we have a once a month staff meeting with all staff. Yeah.
Yeah. Like obviously that collaborative.
Yeah. And just and just go through everyone's appraisals or little wins, what admin's doing, or if we're trialing a new software, you know, the wins property management has had, or just going through statistics, which is so helpful for the sales teams because we get so many referrals from them. And so if they're able to just talk about, you know, what's going on in the marketplace, what are the stats, what are our rents doing, and those sorts of things, it's helping them get leads to us.
Yeah, that's cool. We're going to round this out with something that I like to call Burns rapid fire questions. Are we ready?
Yeah,
let's do it. Start the clock. Favorite color?
Purple.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Pork buns.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah.
Favorite season?
Summer.
Ah, good. Favorite movie?
Monsters Inc.
Okay.
It's my happy movie, and I know it word for word at the end, and I'm not going to sing it because I'm going to add my head.
Love it. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Invisibility. And the reason for this is because sometimes it feels like I'm the only name that the boys know in the office. Hey B. So I could sneak out downstairs and get to the car quite quickly.
Oh, if I was coming to Sydney for the very first time, I'd never been here, where would you take me? Where would I eat?
We would go to Opera Bar for an afternoon. We'd probably have a cocktail or two. We might go to a Hotel Palisade and have a really lovely dinner up on the top floor bar there. Probably take you over the Harbour Bridge at night time and down into Milson's Point and drop you back home.
Amazing. If you had the choice, you could know every language in the world, or you'd have the ability to talk to animals, which would it be?
Oh, animals for sure.
Oh. Final one, pineapple on a pizza, yes or no?
Yes, definitely.
We can keep talking.
Okay, stay friends.
Final question, what would current day Bianca tell her 16-year-old self?
Run's the first thing that comes to mind, but that's you know what, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but you can weather the storm. So keep going. Yeah,
amazing. Bianca, thank you. It has been a joy to have you here. Thank you for saying yes. To everyone who has joined us, thank you so much. We hope you've enjoyed the last 45 minutes and we can't wait to see you all on the next edition of Leading Ladies Journeys. Have an amazing afternoon.
Bye.